Good morning and a very warm welcome. Thanks very much for tuning in. You're watching the Morning News Hour. My name is Amita Vadva. Top of the hour, we begin with a breaking update that is now coming in of this response that has now come in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. This is a response to the U.S. President Donald Trump as far as the bromance that seems to be back on the table when it comes to the India-U.S. trade negotiations, because India has been pushing for it despite when it comes to highest tariffs that have been put up by the United States of America, several provocative statements that have been made by Donald Trump's aides, but it seems that Donald Trump still continues to maintain that India is a good friend. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is his good friend, and he is now looking forward in meeting and holding talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And this is how the Prime Minister has now responded to President Trump's reaction, his statement a short while back, saying India and the U.S. are close friends and natural partners. I am confident that our trade negotiations will pave way for unlocking limitless potential for the India-U.S. partnership. Our teams are working to conclude these discussions at the earliest. I'm also looking forward to speaking with President Trump. We will work together to secure a brighter, more prosperous future for both of our people. And this is exactly when it comes to on a welcoming note that it seems that the ties between U.S. and India seem to be improving. After all, we've seen as far as the tariffs, the tantrum, and of course multiple statements that has been made by President Donald Trump in the past. Let's get in a word from Rishabh now, who's connected with us. Well, Rishabh, India continues to push for a trade deal. It seems that we are moving in a more positive and an optimistic way, especially when it comes to the statement made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Well, definitely. See, the first statement came in from Donald Trump that he is pleased to announce that the India-U.S. trade negotiations are going on, and he would be speaking to his quote-unquote good friend Narendra Modi in coming weeks. And in reciprocation, Prime Minister now has tweeted that India and U.S. are close friends and natural partners, and he is confident that the India-U.S. trade negotiations will pave way for unblocking the limitless potential of India and U.S. partnership. So in a way, both sides have started showing olives, and things have started coming back on track. Remember, it began on Saturday.
Well, we'll be talking about exactly when it comes to the multiple statements that has been made by the President of the United States in the past as well. But Pathikrit is connected with us. Pathikrit, good morning. Where do you see as far as when it comes to the relations between India and U.S. heading from here?
Good morning. Well, I don't think the relationship is going to be very, very good, because what happened in Nepal, there are fingers getting pointed towards the Western Hemisphere and countries, especially United States as well. Secondly, yes, the trade negotiations are continuing. The negotiations have not stopped. The potential possibility of a mini trade deal by November cannot be ruled out. But the red lines that have been drawn by India when it comes to not opening the sectors of dairy, fisheries, poultry, and agriculture, I think India will remain, steadfast on that. Maybe some minor concessions here and there can be given by India, and I think Trump will be okay with that by saying that, okay, now I have a trade deal, even if it is a mini one. So he would have to claim that he is eventually the winner. That is the ultimate game, because he can't show that nobody did it. I mean, a country like India did not do it. So I think the potential possibility of a mini trade deal cannot be ruled out. But I think the red lines for India will remain as it was.
Right, but do you believe as far as when it comes to U.S. and India continue on the trade barriers, the obstacles are there because India has made it clear it's not ready to bow down, especially when it comes to national interest. There will be no compromise and no deadline that seems to be set there, because India seems to be doing in and taking the deal ahead at its own pace.
Well, I think one area, if Trump, he keeps on talking about the trade deficit, even though that is a farce. I mean, U.S. doesn't have a trade deficit U.S. doesn't have a trade deficit with India if you consider about the big tech companies and all the money they make here. But even nevertheless, see, if it is about reducing the so-called trade deficit, then I think India is in a position to increase its oil procurement from United States. That is always there. But if he is insistent, no, you have to open that particular market only and nothing else I want, then it's a problem. So far as the larger trade deficit issue is concerned, but I think India is pretty flexible. I can increase procurement of oil from United States if it helps in reducing the trade deficit. I think that opportunity is definitely there. And I think Trump, let's see if Trump is okay with that. But those red lines, as I mentioned, I don't think any government in India can breach that so far as political sensitivity of farming community and their livelihood is concerned.
Well, a functional democracy right now that we are looking at, especially when it comes to the turmoil and the chaos that has been witnessed in the border nations of late. But this is stability, where as far as when it comes, thank you, Pratikrit, for your point of view. But when we speak of the global south, what the Prime Minister has been aiming for, but in particular when it comes to the relations between India and the US, seemingly now getting back on track. Let's put out exactly what President Donald Trump has said, because this seems to be the second such statement that he has made regarding India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a friendly way. Now, this is President Donald Trump saying that I am pleased to announce that India and the United States of America are continuing negotiations to address the trade barriers between our two nations. I look forward to speaking with my very good friend Prime Minister Modi in the upcoming weeks. I feel certain that there will be no difficulty in coming to a successful conclusion for growth, great countries. And this is where President Donald Trump, of course, if we take out the series of posts and statements that he has made in the recent few weeks, there has been a complete turnaround on the statements that he has made, isn't it, Rishabh? And Srinjoy, who's also connected with us here on the broadcast live. Srinjoy, good morning. Another statement by President Trump. Last week we discussed how he's been targeting India. Now this seems to be the second such statement that is coming in a positive way.
Yes, another volte-face. That's what you expect with the president. You don't know which side of the bed he got out of. But let's hope that this point of view persists, because what President Trump has said is right. The fact that apart from trade, other areas are there where India and America work. For instance, defense. For instance, space. Now, apart from trade, because India and America have a strategic partnership, keeping that in mind, if you put trade in the middle of your of everything else, then clearly the rest of the relationship will suffer. In this case, because the relationship is as strong as it is, it hasn't suffered as yet. There's been a military exercise, there have been meetings at lower levels on the 2+2 and so on.
Yeah.
The point is that India and America are together. It's a strategic relationship, defense, economy.
Well, that's important that you put out exactly when it comes to the strategic relationship between India and the US, Srinjoy. Please do continue to be with us. We're getting expert opinions as well. Mr. Fabian is connected with us. Mr. Fabian, good morning. At the offset, we have seen such kind of statements that has been made. Of course, this has been mature diplomacy that has been showcased by India. And this is on a welcoming note that the Prime Minister has acknowledged the statement made by President Trump.
Well, the Prime Minister did the appropriate thing by responding promptly. But what we have to realize is that we cannot say as yet that Trump has fully realized the folly of his action by by imposing 25% additional tariff on India. But he has started realizing. That's all what I would say. And this matter will be resolved only when the two principals talk to each other, and the diplomats have to prepare the ground, for those talks. That will take a little time. And Trump himself said, I look forward to talking to Modi in the upcoming week. So we have to wait. But this is a good development. We are moving in the right direction, but the goal is not very close as yet.
All right. Mr. Fabian, appreciate you joining us here on the broadcast. We are moving in the right direction, is it, Srinjoy? But as far as when it comes to certain leaders within the Trump administration is concerned, President Trump needs to rein them in, especially when it comes to the anti-India and highly provocative statements that they continue to make.
Yes. Peter Navarro particularly has made some very unpleasant statements, very unpalatable. This Maharaja tariff, then this Brahmin issue, none of it has been really liked in India. Now the question is, will he be reined in, or will he continue to meddle in this trade issue and create problems for India and America? Because if you create problems in this tariff area, it could well affect the relationship in other areas as well. Luckily, so far it hasn't, but there's no guarantee that it will not. because Prime Minister Modi also has to keep in mind his voters in India, the people of India. Now, and on one hand, here was President Trump, who was saying things like dead economy and so on, and Peter Navarro speaking about Brahmins and Maharajas and so on. And on the other hand, we can't be seen having very cordial ties with America.
Yeah.
So both of these things have to be kept in mind. And let's hope that Navarro is reined in, Lutnick and the others keep quiet for a while, and then at least the relationship will be on even keel.
All right, please just stay on with us, Srinjoy, because as you mentioned, Peter Navarro, it seems that he's made another provocative statement there. Let's put that out for our viewers to see exactly what he has said now, because as mentioned by Srinjoy, certain unparliamentary and highly inappropriate statements that have been made by Mr. Peter Navarro, and this is another